Alright guys, so for today's video, I'm catching up on some Canadian news, and I came across this article about that's 2 weeks old now, and it says, Women's Fire Conference in Banff aims to break down barriers in a male-dominated industry. So, what caught my eye was, I hadn't heard really much about this, but I had heard about what some would say is the aftermath of this, which was how a fire went from prescribed burn to out of control in an instant near Banff. Um, Now, the reason that these two are correlated is because this lady here, Jane Park, she goes on to say that's why Park is one of the driving forces behind Banff National Park planning and hosting a Woman in Fire Training Exchange from May 1st to the 12th, known as WT Rex. It is an intensive 12-day training exchange that combines practical live fire training with indoor learning and discussions to advance participants' qualifications and experience in wildland fire operations. It then goes on to say something very interesting where it says, specifically, WT Rex is an opportunity to engage participants of all different genders, ethnic, and racial backgrounds to explore the growing role of women in fire management. So it's a women only conference because it's a male dominated industry and they want to get more women involved in this. However, it's an opportunity to engage participants of all different genders, just not males. It goes on to say, an interagency event, it also serves as a training ground to enhance their understanding of incident command systems, fire ecology, communications and outreach leadership, prescribed fire burning plan, and more. Again, prescribed burn. And they're talking about a prescribed fire planning and more. While Park has been part in her position of the fire and vegetation management specialist since 2011, women still constitute a relatively small proportion of the workforce, filling roughly 10% of the wildland fire positions and even fewer in the leadership roles. Now, some people would say that this is the patriarchy, this is men oppressing women, this is, not allowing them to do this or holding them back or yada yada. If I were to ask, you know, 100 women if they wanted to be a firefighter or fight fires or be in the wildland protective services, I'd say a good maybe 95 of those 100 women would say no. It's a job that is not attractive to women. It's the same thing with oil rigs. It's the same thing with coal mines. It's the same thing with bricklaying. It's the same thing with plumbers or sewage or garbage. Like, these are dirty, gross jobs. Firefighters, they have long shifts, they have 24-hour shifts. Their sleep schedule, their life schedule, really bad time management, stuff like that. These are not jobs that women want to partake in. That's why we have women who are more teachers, who are more, office workers, nurses. Nurses also have, pretty rough schedules, but it's not as labor intensive in the sense of like these guys that they have to do it. So it's a very small percentage that are going to be interested in doing that. And for them to say male dominated, yeah, that's just the nature of the position. Now, it does go on to say, in recent years, there has been an increased effort to recruit women into fire positions, yet social and cultural challenges remain. Yeah, again, women don't want to be firefighters. They don't want to be dirty. They don't want to go out there lugging all this heavy firefighter equipment, And a lot of them don't do this that training that'll allow them to do it. Like, I don't understand how you needed to have a conference like this to realize that that's why it's male dominated. And even over here, it says so far, approximately 35 participants from around the world are registered for the event, including from Canada, United States, Australia, Mexico, Ecuador, and Bolivia. So you're telling me, out of all the places, there's only 35 women that want to come do this. And then you're wondering why it's male dominated. It's crazy. Um, There's some speakers that are also coming to the event. And then it goes, I'm so thrilled for women from around the world will be convening in Banff to learn about wildland fire management. Yeah, I guess they learned some sort of management. Now, to be fair, in the next article that I'm going to be reading, it does say that there was some unexpected wind changes and this and that. Um, However, we'll get to that. What also caught my eye in this was it says she has long been a trailblazer in her field, not only because of her work, but also because of how she has made this career more accessible and inclusive. I am grateful she has created a path for so many women to follow. This is not a path that women want to follow. Hey, I'm all for female firefighters. If that's what they want to do, go for it. I'm, but I just don't see women being like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to go fight fires, have terrible sleeping schedules, lug all this crap around, constantly be like on 24-hour call. But so as per mentioned, this is kind of what ended up happening. They had to get helicopters. They had to get, I think, some neighboring fire stations also to come help. So men come and help clean this up. Like, you could just see this photo here. Here's some other photos of how much smoke and damage happened. How this fire just spread like crazy. But as I said, it goes on to say here, windier than anticipated conditions are to blame for a prescribed burn near Banff growing out of control on Wednesday evening, causing several evacuations and a dense smoke over the Trans-Canada Highway, says Canada officials. Now, this is the article that I heard about, or the incident that I heard about. Nowhere really does it mention this woman's fire conference anymore. It seemingly disappeared from what happened. It mentions that there's a controlled burn, and it mentioned that there was a fire, winds got out of hand, but nowhere did it say who was doing the prescribed burn, why the prescribed burn was happening. Um, but it goes on to say a sudden wind shift caused the blaze to jump to the east side of Banff Avenue, where it grew about 3 hectares beyond the 300-hectare control area. Jane Parks, or Parks Canada, incident commander Jane Park, told reporters Thursday morning that specific conditions must be met for a prescribed burn to take place, and crews were constantly monitoring those benchmarks before and during the operation. But the wind picked up from roughly 10 kilometers to almost 30 kilometers and quickly changed direction, she said. Now, I'm not saying that this wouldn't have happened to male firefighters that were doing this. I'm sure, something like this where it just flips on a switch and you have to now act on it really quickly can happen to anybody. I just find it very ironic that it happened during a woman's only conference where they're trying to show that, it's a male dominated industry, women can do it, rah, rah, rah. We need to do more inclusivity. There's too much misogyny and sexism and all this stuff. And lo and behold, this ends up happening. Again, I'm not saying that this wouldn't have happened to male firefighters, right? But it's just very funny. And then also, as I said, coincidentally, this article just omits that this prescribed burn was happening during that specific conference, that this was a woman's only thing. But, as always, love to hear what you guys have to say about this. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Thanks so much.